Okay, good morning. In this video we're going to be having a look at the KT6301 sensor from IFM. It's this little capacitive sensor that we have plugged in here via IO link, and basically what happens is there is a capacitive sensor with a light attached to it. So when I touch the sensor you can see that we're getting a little kind of flashing light going on here. Now at the moment I've just plugged this light into the PLC, I haven't done any configuration, so it's running in its default mode, which is that when you push the button you get a little kind of pulse. You see the light comes on, but then the light goes off again. And so we're going to look at how we change this parameter and then how we use the device within our PLC. So the first thing that I've done is I've already downloaded the IODD file and I've imported it into my TIA project. I've downloaded the file from the IFM website under downloads and then here the IO-Link description file, so that's already been imported. And I'm just going to assign that to port 1 on my PLC. If I click on the device and head over to the parameters page, then I have all of these different possible settings, and I'm going to need to change some of these in order to make it work the way that we want it to work. So if we come and have a little look here at the info card, we can see some different information about the sensor, but what's important here are these parameter settings, because this is what we're going to need to change. And we can see that at the moment the mode is dynamic, and what that means is that the sensor switches to 300 milliseconds positive once it's pressed. We can see that when we press it we get a 300 millisecond pulse of light. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to static, because we want it to basically always be on when we're pressing the light. If we just download the parameters as they currently are into the device, just so that we have everything set up and the PLC is looking, we can have a look at the data that we actually have coming from the sensor, and we can also see the pulse going true or false there. That will help us to understand a little bit about what's happening here. So, okay, so I have the default settings in the light now. It's red by default. You press it and it goes green. This is the default as you get it out of the pack. So if I take a look here at the different properties that I've got this process value, this switching input, and then the color. These are the two that are really going to be important to us, the switching and the color. So if we monitor these variables, we'll just wait for my laptop to go online. There we go. So if we take a look at this device, here we go. So we see it's false at the moment. If I touch it, it goes true momentarily. Now it's kind of hard to see because it's only a 300 millisecond pulse, so sometimes you miss it, but that I5.0 is going true just for 300 milliseconds. We want it to always be true when we're touching this button to make it easier to use in our code, really. So we're going to look at the parameters. So we're going to come back to our parameters page and we're going to change this to static mode, and that means that it'll be true when I press it and false when I turn it off. So if we download that now, we'll just wait for those parameters to update, and then we should be able to see the data change in the same way that we did before. Okay, that's downloaded. So hopefully we can now take a little look at this data. It always takes a little bit of time when you're coming online and offline and downloading these parameters. Wait for TIA to do its thing. Okay, nearly there. There we go. So we should be able to see that data now. Yep, so currently it's false, and when I touch it, it's now going true and it's staying true. So you see that as I move away, it's going red. Now I hold it and it's going green. So this is really good. This means that the input is now kind of static and is staying. As long as we touch the button, we get the input to the PLC. Perfect. So the last thing to talk about is the color. So at the moment, this light is kind of operating in its default mode, which means that the color is automatically tied to the input status. I have like a set color for on and a set color for being pressed. We want the ability to set this light to be any color at all. And we can do that using this output word QB2, but at the moment if I try and change the value of this, nothing will happen. It won't affect the light status at all. And again, that's because we have a parameter to change. So we need to head down into the parameter setting, and you'll see here the LED mode. we have to set the LED mode to be PD out. So if I set PD out on the LED mode and then download it, now the light value color will be tied to whatever the output value of that word is. So we'll just wait for those settings to download, and then we'll go back into the PLC settings, and from there we'll be able to change the light. So you can see the light's gone off automatically. It's now changing color to blue whenever I touch it, but by default it's off. And the value should, I hope, now be affected by the value of the PLC. So if I just close this project, yes, I want to save my step 7 file. Okay, so we're back into the PLC. So we're going to need 2 possible data bits there. So with I2.0, that's going to be my switching value, and then we're going to have, sorry, that needs to be at I2.0, and it needs to be a switch, and then we need to have color, and that's going to be at QB2. Let me do that. No, because it's a byte. QB2, switch and color. I'll just take both of those and put them into a watch table as well, so that we're able to see what's going on here a little bit more clearly. And if we download this settings into our PLC, hopefully we'll be able to see and tweak these values here. So at the moment I've got here false, and if I touch it, it's going true. And then here I have my color value, and all I need to do is change this to a certain color and it changes value. So if I change it to 1, it goes to blue. If I change it to 2, it's going to green. If I change it to 4, then it will go to another color. There we go, red. We can take a look at the datasheet once again. There is another file here, an IO-link description file, and if we scroll down here we can see a list of all the possible colors. So if we look here, we might want to set yellow, for example. So we would just go 6 into this byte, modify it, and now the light is showing yellow. So with these two little variables, we're able to do whatever we want. We can write any kind of code we want. So if we just go back and we write a really simple program, we could make it so that if you press the switch, well, if the switch is, if the switch is not made, we could move a 0 into QB2. So this would mean that the light would be off. And if the switch is made, we could move a 4 in. So this will make it a certain color. And we'll just add one more option here, which is that the switch could be made for a period of time. So let's put a timer in there and say that it's a 3-second timer. So if we download that code now, we should have the light off by default. We can see it's going off, that's good. If we make the light, then it goes red. See? Okay. And if I hold it for a period of time, then it should go, there we go. Oh, okay, it was already red. So let's change it to a different color, yellow, so that we can see that it works. Let's try again. So off by default, red if you're pressing it for a little while, and then if you're holding it for a little while, then it will go yellow. So it's possible to affect all of these different color things, not too difficult to use, it's just that we have to change these 2 parameters first.